Greetings, dear subscribers and casual listeners of my channel. Have you ever thought about what would happen if Voldemort had an heir? What if the Dark Lord and his most devoted follower Bellatrix Lestrange secretly had a child, a sorceress as ruthless and powerful as them both? In today's video, you will find out the shocking truth about Delphi, Voldemort's hidden daughter, and the last hope of the Dark Lord's legacy. Voldemort and Bellatrix were two of the most feared figures in the entire Harry Potter saga. He was the Dark Lord, a ruthless tyrant obsessed with blood purity and willing to sacrifice anyone to achieve his vision of a wizard-dominated world. She was his most loyal Death Eater, standing by him even when others abandoned him, carrying out his cruelest orders without question. But in the midst of war and chaos, they did something no one expected. They had a child. Her name was Delphi, and her existence changed everything. How could such a union even be possible? Bellatrix's obsession with Voldemort was no secret. For years, she worshipped him, blindly following his every command. But Voldemort, a man incapable of love, never reciprocated her feelings. Born under the effects of a love potion, he lacked the ability to truly care for anyone. Yet, during the final years of the war, Voldemort realized one thing. His bloodline, one that traced back to Salazar Slytherin himself, would end with him. And that was something he could not allow. Perhaps that's why he chose Bellatrix, a pure-blood witch from the prestigious Black family, to carry his heir. And so, in secret, Delphi was born. But what made her so dangerous? Delphi's story is told only in Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, a controversial addition to the saga, officially recognized as canon by J.K. Rowling herself. According to the play, Delphi was born in Malfoy Manor just before the Battle of Hogwarts. After Voldemort's downfall, she was hidden away, raised by a woman who cared for her only in exchange for gold. She grew up alone, abandoned, and full of questions. That changed when her mother's husband, Rodolphus Lestrange, escaped from Azkaban. He revealed the truth. She was the daughter of the greatest dark wizard of all time, and her destiny was to bring him back. Delphi's plan was as brilliant as it was terrifying. She manipulated Amos Diggory, Cedric's grieving father, using his pain to gain access to Harry Potter's son, Albus. Through lies and deception, she convinced him and his best friend, Scorpius Malfoy, to steal a time turner, the goal? To rewrite history and prevent Voldemort's death. Her mission led to a chaotic spiral of alternate realities, near successes, and shocking twists. She fought fiercely, demonstrating abilities beyond ordinary magic. She could speak Parseltongue, fly without a broom, and duel multiple opponents at once. She was powerful enough to defeat Harry Potter himself in combat, but even she was not unstoppable. In the end, it took the combined strength of Harry, Albus, Ron, Hermione, and Draco to bring her down. And even then, it was no easy battle. Delphi was ultimately imprisoned in Azkaban, her dreams of reviving Voldemort crushed forever. Delphi Lestrange sat alone in her Azkaban cell, her mind racing with unanswered questions. She had failed. The Dark Lord was gone, and she was trapped, her destiny slipping through her fingers like sand. But something inside her refused to accept defeat. She wasn't just any witch. She was the daughter of Voldemort, the last remnant of his power. The blood of Salazar Slytherin ran through her veins. She could feel it, burning like a curse, demanding more than a lifetime of silence in a prison cell. Outside, the world had moved on. Harry Potter was still the celebrated hero, his son free from the tangled mess of time travel and dark magic. Delphi had been erased from their lives, locked away in the depths of a prison where no one would ever think of her again. But she had time, more time than she needed. Her father had once waited for years, gathering strength in the shadows before he made his return. She could do the same. Azkaban was not an ordinary prison. It was a place that broke minds, that twisted souls until they no longer remembered who they were. Dementors still roamed its corridors, feeding on memories, draining hope from the prisoners like leeches in the night. But Delphi was not like the others. She had no happy memories for the Dementors to take. She had been raised in the absence of love, in a world that had never shown her kindness. There was nothing for them to feed on, nothing to weaken her. She could still remember Rodolphus Lestrange's voice, the way he had looked at her when he first told her the truth. His eyes had been filled with something close to awe, as if he truly believed she would succeed where all others had failed. He had given her a purpose. He had given her a mission. The mission was not over. She replayed the battle in her mind again and again. How had they beaten her? How had Harry Potter, the one man her father had been unable to kill for years, managed to stop her? It had not been power alone, she knew that. It had been something else, something she still did not understand. Loyalty, friendship, love. The very things Voldemort had dismissed as weak, as foolish. But if they were so meaningless, why had they been enough to destroy him? She closed her eyes, focusing on the magic within her, on the legacy she carried. She had her father's blood, but did she also carry his mistakes? Her plans had been perfect. The time-turner, the manipulation, the deception, it had all been flawless. Yet she had lost because she had been alone. Her father had trusted no one. He had ruled with fear, and fear had turned against him in the end. His most loyal followers had either perished or betrayed him. Delphi knew she could not make the same mistake. If she was ever going to finish what her father started, she needed to be smarter, stronger, more patient. She had been reckless before, too eager, too blinded by the idea that fate was on her side. But fate had never been kind to the Lestrange family. It had never been kind to anyone who carried the dark mark. She thought of Bellatrix, the mother she had never known, a woman who had thrown away everything for Voldemort, who had loved him so completely that she had given him a child, even when he had been incapable of love in return. Had Bellatrix ever imagined this? Had she thought her daughter would be trapped in a cold, damp cell, her magic locked away by ministry-enforced spells? No, Bellatrix had believed in power, in blood, and Delphi still had both. There were whispers in Azkaban, murmured voices that crept through the walls like ghosts. Stories of dark wizards who had survived worse, of those who had escaped when escape was impossible. She had once thought Rodolphus would return for her, that he would find a way to set her free. But he was gone now, lost in the chaos after her arrest. If she was going to leave this place, she would have to do it alone. The ministry thought they had buried her, but they had only given her time to prepare. She listened, waited, observed. The guards who passed her cell, the patterns of their movements, the flickering torches that cast long shadows on the stone walls. Everything could be useful. Everything was part of the plan that was already forming in her mind. She would not rot away in this place. She would not let her father's bloodline end in chains. Somewhere out there, beyond the crashing waves and the endless darkness of Azkaban, the world still whispered the name of the Dark Lord. There were those who had not forgotten, followers who still believed. And when the time was right, they would come, or she would go to them. The wizarding world had made one mistake. They had left a loose end. And loose ends always had a way of unraveling everything.